You keep thinking about the same thing, again and again, replaying conversations, rewriting outcomes, trying to figure it out. But no matter how much you think, it never actually resolves. It just loops. And the strange part is, it feels like you're doing something productive, like you're getting closer to clarity, but you're not. So what if the problem isn't that you think too much, but that something else isn't happening at all? You sit alone after a conversation. You replay what you said, what they meant, what you should have said instead. You analyze tone, timing, facial expressions. It feels important, like if you just think a little harder, you'll finally understand everything. But hours pass, sometimes days, and instead of clarity, you feel heavier, more confused, more stuck. In daily life, it looks like hesitation. You delay decisions. You over-research simple choices. You mentally simulate outcomes before doing anything. Even small things feel loaded. Sending a message, making a call, speaking honestly. Your mind steps in before you act, always trying to optimize. But underneath that, there's a quiet exhaustion, because thinking never actually moves you forward. It just keeps you in place, like giving the illusion of control. And slowly, this becomes part of your identity. I'm just an overthinker. But that label hides something deeper, because not all thinking is the same. Some thinking leads to insight. This doesn't. This is looping. And looping usually means something is being avoided. You're not broken for this. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's actually doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you. Because from your brain's perspective, thinking feels safer than feeling. Thinking gives distance. It gives structure. It gives the illusion of control. But emotions are unpredictable. They move through the body. They don't follow logic. So your brain makes a trade. It replaces emotional experience with mental analysis, not because you're weak, but because at some point, feeling something fully felt like too much. So your system adapted. It learned, don't feel it. Figure it out instead. And that adaptation stayed, even when you no longer need it. To understand this, you have to separate two systems in your mind: the thinking brain and the feeling brain. In neuroscience terms, this is roughly the interaction between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. The thinking brain analyzes, predicts, organizes. The feeling brain processes emotional experience. In a healthy loop, an emotion arises. You feel it, then the thinking brain makes sense of it. But in your case, the order flips. The thinking brain jumps in first. It tries to interpret the emotion before you've even allowed yourself to feel it. So instead of processing, you start analyzing. Here's the problem. Emotions don't resolve through analysis alone. They need to be experienced to complete their cycle. Think of emotion like a wave. If you let it rise and pass, it naturally settles. But if you block the wave, it doesn't disappear. It just builds pressure underneath. So your mind keeps looping, trying to solve something that was never meant to be solved through thinking. This creates what psychologists call cognitive emotional mismatch. Your mind is working hard, but on the wrong layer of the problem, so it never lands. This isn't about thinking less. It's about restoring the balance between thinking and feeling. Here's how that actually works. Pause and ask, what am I actually feeling right now? Not the story, not the explanation, just the emotion. Why it works: labeling emotions activates the brain's regulation system and reduces activity in the amygdala. It shifts you from reaction to awareness. Example: instead of "why did they say that," you notice, "I feel rejected." That one shift changes everything. Visual: notebook with one sentence written, "I feel." Sit with the feeling for a few minutes without trying to solve it. Why it works: emotions follow a natural rise and fall curve. Suppressing them prolongs their intensity. Allowing them completes the cycle. Example: after an awkward moment, instead of replaying it, you sit quietly and feel the discomfort in your chest. It peaks, then softens. No analysis needed. Change your physical state. Walk, stretch, step outside. Why it works: overthinking is sustained by static mental focus. Movement disrupts that loop and re-engages sensory processing. Example: mid-spiral, you get up and walk for 5 minutes. The thoughts lose intensity because your brain shifts modes. Visual: person walking alone at night under streetlights. Replace "why did this happen" with "what am I avoiding feeling?" Why it works. Your brain follows the direction of your questions. Better questions shift attention from analysis to awareness. Example: instead of analyzing someone's behavior, you realize you're avoiding feeling insecure. Now you're working with the real issue. Give yourself time before interpreting events. Why it works. Immediate interpretation is often biased by unprocessed emotion. Time allows emotional intensity to settle, so thinking becomes clearer. Example: instead of deciding "they don't like me," you wait. Later, the situation feels different, less personal, less urgent. Think of your mind like a conversation between two parts of you, the one that feels and the one that explains. Right now, the one that explains is speaking too soon, interrupting, overpowering. But clarity doesn't come from louder thinking. It comes from letting the feeling finish its sentence. Because once the emotion is processed, thinking becomes simple again. Not forced, not repetitive, just clear. You don't need to fight your mind. You don't need to silence your thoughts. You just need to listen to what's underneath them. Because the loop you're stuck in isn't a thinking problem. It's an unfinished emotional experience. And once you allow yourself to feel, even briefly, the loop starts to loosen. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to move. Enough to breathe. Enough to stop searching for answers in places they were never meant to be.